organized evolution of transformation and conscious collaboration. How do you organize people to collaborate consciously if they're all misaligned from each other via their projections and expectations, their wants, their needs, their fears, their values or their beliefs being not in alignment with each other? How do you arrive at conscious collaboration in such a mixed environment of different values, beliefs, goals, interpretations, feelings, and wants? It's important that we do so, and that inevitably means transcending the ego identity and any sense of I that we may be operating from, and being willing to collaboratively evolve together. So it also means a collaboration support technology and infrastructure, i.e. the SME, and on that platform or on Zoom or in your teams, learning new methods and techniques that you then apply and practice, and having an open forum and dynamic for improvisational discussion, meaning here, now, today, to arrive at better alignment, more accurate, precise alignment with spirit and with each other's heartfelt and soul-felt intentions, and then being willing to document and refine this process and practice it and evolve it, which we're doing. People in these Friday meetings at different times might feel that they either have more or less or an inconsistent capacity to process everything that we're presenting, again, either in the Friday or the Thursday meetings. And we wanted to communicate why that is, or some reasons why that is. Meaning that, one Friday or one Thursday, you may pick up a lot and find great benefit. Another Friday or Thursday, it may not seem to land optimally. It may not be fully grounded in your system, or you may not feel that you got the whole message that was presented, and there's reasons for that. Some of those reasons are that we may have obscurations on one topic that we don't have on another topic. So we can hear one message very clearly and not hear another message with the same degree of clarity. We may be projecting rather than accepting or receiving and processing. We may be required to unlearn what we've previously learned in order to accept new information. We may have past acquired knowledge that past acquired knowledge may not map to what we're hearing in the present moment. And that past knowledge may help us learn faster, or it may slow down our learning, one or the other. So the information that we've provided in prior Fridays will probably help you process all of this information more easily, more quickly, more catalytically, and more comprehensively. Information that you might receive in a standard educational regimen that says, oh no, this is what facts are, this is what reality is. The only way you can know if anything is true is if it's scientifically proven, or if an authority figure says it, or a religious authority says it, or an empowered authority in an organization says it's true, and then it becomes acceptable and processable. So we also may have what might be termed pre-existing capacities to process specific information. Some people just have a knack for processing things, either intuitively or emotionally or intellectually. And everybody learns in different ways, into differing degrees. So we may get 100% of a message, we may get 80%, we may get 60%. In some cases, we may feel we only got 10%. It's still worthwhile. And that said, we may not feel that we derived as much as we could have. And we would suggest that everyone's on a different rung of the ladder in their capacity to process the information that we're communicating. And we would suggest also that if we have a feeling that we're understanding better than other people, or that we're getting the message that they're not, that may lead us to assume that we're somehow better than others, or we're an authority, or we're higher status than they are because we've arrived at understandings that they supposedly have not arrived at. We just want to say for the record, John doesn't have any status. John is not, doesn't know anything more than you do, is absolutely not better than anybody in the whole world. And that's just the truth. We do our best to facilitate, and we're all equal. So we may also have pre-existing simulacra or definitions for words or concepts that we attempt to utilize to interpret the presented information. And those concepts or words can either help us process it or they can hinder the processing. In tribalized learning in organizations, there are buzzwords that go around, concepts that go viral, so to speak, that say, oh no, now we know this, now we know that, now we've got this new idea or concept or priority or value or way of operating as a tribe. That can be a very fast tribal learning on a very narrow concept or idea that doesn't have much true benefit. It doesn't really accelerate or raise the consciousness of the whole collective, and it keeps us cycling in this tribal process of learning a new word or new concept or new idea or new behavior here and there without bringing anyone to free, creative, collaborative consciousness as a result. So the other reasons might be that as a collective team, the quality of the evolved consciousness of the team may be a limitation on its team members learning together. So what you learn as an individual may not be learned by the whole team, or what the team understands as a team may not operate in sync with an individual's understandings or quality of consciousness. So that's always an ever-evolving dynamic of resynchronizing your conscious understandings with your team, and the team with the organization, and the organization with the world or the nation or the species. So the continuation of why we may have inconsistent or non-uniform collective understandings. So there's always going to be some inconsistency. It need not be a roller coaster of, well, I know all of this and I don't know any of this, or I know a whole bunch of things about this and I feel like I know nothing about that. We can, as a team, and a team of teams, we're learning to even out that ride. So it's a very steady rising consciousness for everyone as individuals and the collective of the organization. So just as the team consciousness can either support and catalyze the evolution of all of its members, the collective organization of the WSS consciousness that we attain can either put an inadvertent glass ceiling on our individual or collective evolution, or it can accelerate it and catalyze it. And we're aiming for accelerated consciousness, catalyzed consciousness of every individual in the team of teams, every individual in the organization, and every person and soul on the planet. So how much fun is that? So oddly enough, astrological influences such as Mercury retrograde can seem to slow down our process of processing or bog us down in challenges of understanding conversations such as this. And still, if we're determined enough, we can do it, even in those astrological, seemingly limited spaces or dynamics. Another topic of whether we can or cannot process a communicated message from anyone is how extravagantly out of phase that communication, that idea, that thought, that way of being or that understanding is with their current quality of consciousness, or how far out it is from the consensus consciousness. So if we say something in this meeting that is way out of phase with the tribe, does it make sense that the tribe may try to hold on to you to keep you from fully grounding and processing and embodying and living those understandings, because it's not yet ready to change, shift, and grow, become conscious, and evolve at the speed that you are. So that can be a reason, and that can be on a very topic by topic basis. You can learn a great deal about consciousness. If we talk about emotions, you may be inadvertently resonant with a lot of tribal emotions. You may feel stuck in them. That doesn't mean that you're not doing good. It just means that there's a collective or consensus consciousness influence, or Maya, or samsara, or however we would look at it, that is trying to interfere with you fully processing, arriving at understanding, becoming conscious, and remaining conscious. Three other items here. Fear that we may have that gets triggered by some of these conversations or communications, or prior wounding or trauma that we've experienced in any area of life can be triggered by these communications, and or the specific topics that we're talking about, or the information that's being communicated or delivered. And that generates a form of transformational resistance, or healing resistance, or a consciousness attainment resistance. And that can be either triggered in you as an individual, in your team, in the whole organization, or, which has been the case quite often these days, it can create quite a resistance from the collective just for us to talk about certain topics that would either be taboo, or would be scary to the collective, or would require comprehensive change of the human life process on this planet, or would seem to affect dynamics of being able to be competitive, or operate as egos or tribes, or have what we want, or remain in the rat race of competitive organizational process. Any of that can operate as a resistance that will try to keep you from fully understanding what we're saying. One more thing, the degree of rapport that the facilitator in this moment, John, in other moments during this same day, have been Melissa and Nisana and Emily and Amy and Cheryl and Megan. You've all been facilitators in this collaborative conversation, and others that have spoken, Simone. So the degree of rapport that the facilitator has with the group is a key determinant of whether the message is processable in your system. So if John does his best to be in rapport with your present moment of thought, energy, mind, emotion, and beliefs, and et cetera, then you'll usually receive more, and you'll experience it as a full download of information, and a deep, meaningful, changing, transforming message. Whereas at other times, if we're not as in rapport with where you're at, it may feel like the message just bounces off and doesn't fully process. And we apologize for any and all failures on our part in that regard. We truly are doing our best to ever remain in rapport with all of you. And it's a complicated dance. So, and it's a process of skill and energy of the facilitator that allows the ongoing, ever more optimized message to be received, communicated, processed, and learned from, evolved from, and embodied, and thus empowering you. And the last item in this list, and it's super important. We hope we'll say it well. We know it's late in the day, and that said, it can change this world. This one message: the attained capacity of the collective, whether it's a team of teams, or whether it's all the teams, meaning everyone in the organization, or whether it's a nation, or whether it's the species, their collective attained capacity to operate in a functionally learning murmuration process, and to align with collective intention to learn, change, grow, heal, and evolve and transform. That's murmuration, like the birds, a flock of birds moving together as one, a school of fish moving together as one. The more the collective aligns with a willingness to change, grow, learn, heal, evolve, and generate a sustainable life process for humanity, the more empowered it becomes in general, and the more capable it becomes of learning its way out of history and out of tradition, out of prior culture, prior wounding, prior fear and limitation, prior hatred and judgmentalness, and into collective, functional, healthy, sustained consciousness. Let's see, one moment. And a great question we've received is discomfort in this process evidence that the message is being downloaded? We would say yes, absolutely it is. It's a sign of progress. It's a sign of success. It's a sign of you doing great. Because if you weren't downloading, if you weren't processing, there would be no change discomfort, no pain, no realized dissonance. The dissonance that you're experiencing is a sign of transformation, change, learning, growth, evolution, healing, and success. So bless your heart for that question and that thought. And we hope that makes sense to everyone and is seen as a sign of progress, not as a sign of not doing well enough or not having achieved what we expect of ourselves or anything like that.